All right, so as we begin this new unit about proportionality and proportional relationships, I have given you a set of notes. It was given on October 23rd, 2019, and it's several pages of a lot of information that we need to know for successfully completing this unit. So it talks about percents, fractions, decimals, ratios, rates, and proportions. Now, in my 7th grade math class, I like to solve proportions by cross multiplying and dividing. Most proportional relationships should be identifiable by seeing a friendly proportion. So you know that 7/8 is the same as some number out of 56. And I say that this is friendly because I know that 8 is a factor of 56. I should know that as a 7th grader. So proportions for starters are 2 or more equal ratios. And this is one ratio, this is another, and then I have an equal sign here to display their relationship. Now, in order to prove that, I would cross multiply and have a number here, and cross multiply and have a number here, and those numbers should be equivalent to show equivalency. Now, if they were offset, then that would prove, or that would show me how to compare them. One would be smaller than the other. So, what did they do to the denominator in 7/8 to get W out of 56? They multiplied by 7. Meaning, take this, bam, times 7, and whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. That's the do-do rule. And 7 times 7 would be 49. Okay? So that would be my W value. Okay? Now, moving on, there's a not so friendly fraction or proportion form that we may see quite often in 7th grade math, which is why long division is such a huge skill that we have to focus on and we have to practice in order to be successful. So 14 out of 400 is the same as x over 1,000. Not so friendly. I don't know what I'm doing to my 400 necessarily to get to my 1,000. I can't, some people can't just think of that relationship off the top of their heads. So here's where you cross multiply and divide, and then always, 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 I have to stress this, simplify if possible. Okay, please highlight that on your notes because it is very important. So on the next part, I've cross multiplied, so 14 times 1,000, multiply, and then I divide by 400. I call this the baseball and the bat method, and it's so relevant because the Astros are in the World Series right now. Go Stros. So here's my bat, here's my baseball. My bat is longer, it requires a little bit of more work, and then the division part is by 400. So there's my baseball and my bat method. 14 times 1,000 is 14,000, and then 400 is what I divide by. So 14,000 divided by 400, I can cross out my zeros, 2 and 2. I cannot cross out this third zero here because there aren't 3 zeros down here. And then I have 140 over 4. So this is where my long division comes in. So I come up here, jot it down real quick. 140 divided by 4. 4 into 14 is 3. Then that's 12, 20, 5, 20, and I'm done. My answer is 35. I should probably get a darker pen so you can see what I'm writing. So 35 is my answer. Keep in mind that this is also the is and the of, ladies and gentlemen. We just talked about that in class today. So, next part. My units need to match. Okay? What does that mean? I need to have miles and miles, hours and hours, or minutes and minutes, feet and feet, gallons with gallons, part and part, whole and whole. Because that's essentially what a fraction is, part over a whole. Okay? So for the next example, it says determine the number of chickens that will lay 75 eggs if the constant ratio of chickens to eggs is, make that an S, 2 to 6. So chickens and eggs. This is 2 chickens and this is 6 eggs. Okay, so come over here. Look, I've got chickens and eggs. So the ratio that they give me is 2 and 6, and I want to know how many chickens will lay 75 eggs. So 75 goes down here at the bottom, and then X goes at the top. And if you remember today during class, I said that proportions are for equivalent ratios, which means they don't always have to involve 100%. This is one of those where I don't see 100%. I see 2 out of 6, and I see X out of 75. Okay, so my 100% could be both. It could be all 6 of my eggs. It could be all 75 of my eggs. Okay, so percents aren't always required, or proportions aren't always required to have 100. So the units are the words. What are we talking about? So 2 chickens lay 6 eggs. Make sense of this. Okay, 2 chickens lay 6 eggs. Can 6 chickens lay 2 eggs? No, because then each chicken would have to have a fraction of an egg, and that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Okay, so now I would cross multiply and divide. So come up here and show that work. 2 times 75 out of 6. This is my baseball, my bat, and I like to put a little division symbol here to remind me that I have to divide by 6. Okay, 2 times 75. This is 2 times 75 cents. I have $1.50. Always think about money, ladies and gentlemen. Then I divide by 6, and then I come up here and I can simplify by 2, which will bring me back to 75 out of 3. Thinking about money again. 3 whats are in 75 cents? Quarters. And then the things that I'm talking about, this is 25 chickens. 25 chickens can lay 75 eggs. That is the statement that I have to understand after I'm finished solving this proportion. Moving on to ratios. Ratios are synonymous with fractions, rates, decimals, and percents. Okay, it's got several different names. It can be written in several different forms as well. 1 to 2 with the colon, 1 to 2 with the word, and 1 to 2 with the fraction bar. This is my favorite because this is a division problem. All right. Most commonly used is fraction form, and it's easy to find an equivalent. So that's why I like writing it here and here this way in fraction form. Ratios are also read top to bottom and left to right. So for example, the question that I was given, or the example that I was given here says chickens to eggs. That's left to right, 2 to 6. So when I went to write it in my proportion, top to bottom, left to right. Okay? That's a relationship that you just have to understand, guys. Ratios continued. Included in rates and unit rates, this is just an ampersand because this one was a little sloppy. 75 miles in 1 hour, 3 out of 7, 6 feet in 20 seconds, 5 gallons per 2 minutes. This is what they will look like in word problems. You will see them in fraction form, you will see them written left to right, and sometimes they'll throw you off by writing a word here. So they'll say 6 feet as opposed to the number 6. Okay? And usually it is part to whole. Sometimes your part can be bigger. Sometimes part is greater than whole. Okay? This is possible. Ratios slash fractions are division problems. Decimals and percents or quotients, or the answer to the division problem. So I like to call these the triplets. They're the fraternal triplets. Who are the, let me rewrite that. Fraternal triplets. That's my favorite math trilogy, the FDP. Fractions, decimals, and percents. They all have the same value, but they look different. Okay? So that's my 1/2, that's my 0.5, and that's my 50%. That's what I mean by FDP. What are the 3 forms? Percents literally mean out of 100. The whole is 100. Think about $1. Whenever you see them, convert, then multiply. This is an important strategy. This can almost eliminate the need for us to make a proportion. Okay? And then powers of 10. Multiplying by a power of 10, we move the decimal to the right according to the number of zeros. So here, I'm going to start with 65, and I'm going to move 2 times to the right. 1, 2. Bam, bam. So I'm going to end up with 6,500. Okay? Now here I have a number that has a decimal in it, and I'm going to move my decimal 1, 2, 3 times to the right. So 7.5, 1, 2, 3, bam, bam, equals 7,500. Now I don't like using commas because sometimes I can confuse them with decimals, and in other countries they use commas as decimals and it's really confusing. So I try to avoid them as much as possible. If you would like to use them, that's great, but be aware of where you place your decimals and the value of the numbers. Here, this number is less than 1. So I'm going to get a number that's not going to be that big. It's not going to be as big as 1,000. It's going to be smaller because I'm multiplying by something that is less than 1. And I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 times. So 0.091, 1, 2, 3, just leaves me with 91. Okay, and then I'm going to move 1 time here, and I'll just draw that hump there, 48. Okay, so these are all my answers for those powers of 10 where I'm multiplying by a power of 10. I move to the right. Now when I divide by a power of 10, I have to move the decimal to the opposite direction, the left. So according to the number of zeros. So here I have 91 divided by 100. I start my decimal all the way to the far right, make sure it's nice and dark, and then I move it 1, 2 times to the left. 1, 2. That equals 0.91. This 0 is optional, and if there's a 0 at the end here, that's optional as well. Here I'm dividing by 10. I'm moving 1 place to the left. Bam. So then I have 0.065 because I need to add an extra 0 here. Does everybody see that? So this is 0.65 divided by 10, or 65 hundredths divided by 10. I'm going to end up with 65 thousandths. I'm getting so much smaller. Okay. Then here divided by 1,000. Let me write this one out here. 81, 1, 2, 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And then right here I need a 0. So I'm going to end up with 0.02381. Okay? And then here I'm moving to the left twice. So 0.65812. I need 2 zeros squeezed in there. Let's bring this down here. 0.00658. Okay? And they're my answers. I'm going to highlight them so they can stand out. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, tax, tip, discount, markup, and markdown. Tax in Texas is 8.25%. As a decimal, this is a percent. Yes, it has a decimal in it, but if I go from percent to decimal, I have to divide by 100. So what did I just do when I divided by 100? I moved my decimal 2 places to the left. So I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to go whoop, whoop, boom. So then here I'm going to put a 0, and then I'll have 0.825. That is Texas tax, sales tax in decimal form. That's what they multiply our prices by at Walmart after we have a total up in our receipt. Okay, maybe I should add the word sales here because property tax varies from sales tax big time. Businesses mark up their prices to make profit. They want to make money, so they're going to charge you a little bit more for something that they make, or a good or a service that they sell to you, so they can make profit. Tax, tip, etc. will be on the next video.